Hi everybody, happy Monday. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Welcome to another episode of Monday Masters. So on last week's episode, we talked about the differences between potted gel colors and bottle gel colors, as well as the bases and builders, but there were a few questions that came up in the comment section asking about how to properly paint using a potted gel color. Now, I know that a lot of the time this may seem very newfangled, a little bit foreign, especially if you're used to, traditional bottle and brush gel colors. So you might be a little bit confused off the jump on how to actually apply these effectively to the nail. So I'm going to be showing you a couple tips and tricks and showing you actually a little bit of what we teach in our Kokoist double certification classes, which is called the 5-stroke method. And we're going to hopefully answer some of those questions for you today. Let's get started. A couple notes about these guys. So the Japanese gel colors are a high viscosity, densely pigmented product, right? So this is why it's in a pot. If we were to put this product into a bottle, you'd never be able to get it out. The advantages of having a high viscosity, densely pigmented gel color is that typically you can get one coat coverage out of a lot of these colors. Their sheer ones are obviously designed to be sheer, but they still have a really good amount of pigmentation, so that since you can brush this out really, really thin and use typically one coat of color, maybe two if you want to be careful with your curing times, this is going to really help you preserve the appearance of the nail. You're not going to have to bulk it up with 3, sometimes 4 coats of color. It's 1, maybe 2 with these guys. So you're still going to have a beautiful nail that doesn't have an excessive amount of product on it, which is going to ultimately improve the finish of your manicure. Another advantage to this, my favorite advantage to this, is that painting really, really fine detail with something that's thicker and really, really opaque is 1,000 times easier than using something that's a little bit more maybe on the watery side. I'm sure you've all had it where you have your beautiful liner brush and you put that bottle and brush color onto your liner brush and you get that kind of water bead that forms along it. But by using something thicker and really working it into your gel brush, you're not going to get that. So you're going to be able to really be a lot more accurate, and you're not going to have to go over and over and over your designs to get the full opacity of the color, because we are working with the Japanese gel. Now, as I mentioned before, we're going to be using a brush of choice to apply this, and I've got 3 to show you here from the Kokoist Principle Collection. The first one is one of my preferred ones. It's usually the one I reach for, and it's our round brush. This guy is just a really nice, classic round shape. It's beautiful. You can fan it out and get a really nice shape around the cuticle area, and it's just very kind of user-friendly. Your other options here, we also have a flat brush, which I personally prefer for applying overlays or builder gels of any kind, but a lot of people really do like having this kind of corner on their brush, because this really allows them to almost use that corner kind of like a liner to really get tight up to the cuticle and the sidewall area. So this is another option. Your third option here is the Nail Flats application brush. Now this one is kind of like a squoval shape, so it does have that flatness of a square nail, or of a flat brush like we just saw, but the corners are a little bit softer, so it's kind of a little bit of a happy medium. This one is really, really popular. People love using this brush. I've used all 3 of these for Japanese gel color application. They're all great. It just kind of comes down to your personal preference. Next, I'm going to be showing you an infographic that I use in all of my classes that demonstrates the 5-stroke method. Now, this is kind of just like establishes a pattern that you can follow for painting with these potted gel colors. You could also technically use this pattern for painting with bottle and brush, but it's nice because it just kind of develops a pattern which we can use to develop our fine motor skills, which will make us more effective painters. And I highly encourage you to screenshot this next step so you can really see that 5-stroke method and maybe use it for practice. Okay, I know it's a little small, but this is why I'm saying screenshot it. All right, so the 5-stroke method. I really like to describe it at 5 zones, okay? So with our gel color on our brush of choice, we're gonna start with zone 1, which is right down the apex of the nail, right during the center. This is where we're going to dispense the most of our gel color, okay? This is where we want the most product because we want the most color concentration, okay? So straight down the center of the nail. Zone 2 is gonna be taking that gel color and stroking it gently out towards one sidewall. Okay, pulling the color out towards one sidewall, getting that nice tight sidewall application. Zone 3 is doing the same thing, just out back the other way, so gently stroking that gel color out towards the second sidewall. Zone 4 is where we start to get up to the cuticle area. So this is where I want you to really angle your brush up a little more at a 45-degree angle almost, and pat the gel into the cuticle area. By patting, we are placing less product there, so our application is going to be generally thinner, and we're going to be able to kind of pat and almost fan the brush out a little bit and line it up so we get a really nice tight cuticle application. So zones 1 through 4 are basically just about getting the entire nail covered, right? We covered all the zones, centers, sidewalls, up to the cuticle. Zone 5 is going to be just kind of gently stroking the color to bring all of those zones together. This is also a really great opportunity to step back and say, okay, do I need maybe a little bit more product? If you need to grab a little bit more extra gel just to get that perfect opacity, this will be a good time to do it. Just grab a little bit extra, and you're going to gently sweep your brush over the entire nail to bring all of those 4 zones together and give you a really beautiful finish. The gel color will also self-level if you give it a little bit of patience, and that's going to alleviate a lot of those issues that you guys might be having. Okay, so I'm going to show the same video that I showed in the video last week because it's a really, really great example of a clean 5-stroke method application. In this video, I'm going to be using E163. This is Bordeaux Grape from the Excel color collection, and I'm going to be using our round brush, just a classic round brush shape. Okay, this is not cut or sped up, so you can see exactly how I work with this stuff, okay? You can also see how much gel I have on my brush. It's not a ton, it's a longer nail, so I have a good bead. Zone 1, I'm starting straight down the center of the nail, right to the tip. I'm gonna give it a couple strokes, and then I'm going to start working my way out to zone 2, where I start to kind of get to the sidewall, move slow, make sure it lines up nice and neat and tidy, and then I'm moving over to zone 3. Zone 3, I'm left-handed, so this is my hard side, so I really take my time, and sometimes I'll wiggle the brush a little bit just to kind of get it to meet. Bringing them all together, and this is where I'm up at the cuticle and patting. You see how I'm angled upwards, patting right up there. I can really control my brush and where the gel color is going, right into the corner, and then I'm gonna come and do the other side to bring the gel color out to the corner and just stroking it downwards just to connect it to those zones 1, 2, and 3. Once I get there and I'm happy, I look back. This color is really easy to apply. It's beautiful. So all I do right at the end here is just do my zone 5 strokes just to bring it all together. And we have a beautifully painted nail. With these gel colors, if you are concerned that you might have too much product or you're not sure maybe how much product to use or to put on your brush for the 5-stroke method, start with less. Less is more. It is way easier to add product than it is to take it away once you've got it on the nail. Don't forget that zone 5 is a really good opportunity. If you feel like a little bit more is necessary, tap your brush in that gel pot and grab a little bit more and just gently feather it over the entire nail. Sometimes as well, you may have missed something. Maybe you applied your 5-stroke method, it looks beautiful, you cure it, and there's maybe a corner that's looking a little bit sparse. What I do in that instance is just take whatever is left on my round brush and just really kind of squeegee it on there. There's gonna be a lot of pigment left on that brush that really you don't need to do a whole extra coat a lot of the time. Just to kind of patch up that one spot, you can just kind of like really brush it on hard and it's gonna cover up any little imperfections that you may have missed with your first round. If you're concerned about getting up really close to the cuticle and to the sidewalls and maybe you feel like it's looking a little bit bumpy or shaky, you can use a liner brush. This is the Kokoist long liner brush. It is absolutely my favorite. You can use this with just a little bit of the color on it just to kind of pull everything together, make it nice and neat and tidy before you go in for that full cure. If you do get on the skin, it's okay, don't freak out, it's gonna be fine. You do just wanna make sure that you clean it up before you go ahead and cure that product. I actually really like to use a silicone tool and just kind of really carefully clean it off of the skin. If you are to use a brush that has maybe alcohol or acetone on it, a lot of the time what can happen is that alcohol or acetone can dilute the gel that is on the nail plate and cause a lot more flooding. So I really prefer to use this guy. It's been very, very effective for me since I made that switch. So there you go. Hopefully this gives you a little bit more insight into how to paint with potted Japanese gel colors. I really love painting with these gel colors and I hope you will learn to love it as well. As always, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, we have our comment section down below. You can leave your questions down there and we'll do our very best to get back to you by the end of the day. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing work week. I hope you get to love these Japanese gel colors as much as I do. And we will see you right back here next week for another episode of Monday Masters. Take care.